Sorry guys, like I had forgotten to record, but I've started recording. So actually, these adoption curves, like illustrating the adoption for mobile accounts, internet users, PayPal accounts, Bitcoin exchange users, and Bitcoin on-chain users. And as you see, like Bitcoin is the fastest like technology which has been adopted compared to the others. In 2009, like 0% on Bitcoins, like these mostly like in America, like these are American statistics. In 2020, like 10% of Americans own Bitcoins. And it's predicted that in 2029, 90% Americans are projected to own Bitcoin. And which like is very rare, because if you check for the internet user statistics, uh like internet was established in 1990, but its greatest adoption came to be realized in 2010s. Like from there going upwards, that's when like most people like started using internet wildly. But for Bitcoin, like it was released in 2009, and by 2029, like almost 100% will start using it, of which like it can't be 100%, because even right now there are people like who don't use internet, or like who don't know, because it depends with where a person comes from. So like by 2029, 90% are projected to own Bitcoin. So for like this one also like illustrates the crypto users. And as you see, like the total crypto users, like they are fast increasing with time, like that's from 2016. These Bitcoin and all the other altcoins combined. So like for this graph, it illustrates the halving timeline. And like halving, as I had explained before, is whereby like after 4 years, the number of Bitcoin produced per 10 minutes like reduces. It all started with like the 50 Bitcoins. When like Bitcoin started, it was 50 Bitcoins produced per 10 minutes. After 4 years, it went to like 25. Right now is at 12.5. And in next year, because 2024 is when like it will be a halving year, they'll reduce to 6.5. So as you see with this graph, what this graph illustrates is that as the number of users grows, the value per coin increases. So meaning Bitcoin has the potential for a positive feedback loop. As users increase, the value goes up, which could attract more users to take advantage of increasing value. And you'll be using, like you can be using a Bitcoin as a store of value. So like I'll head to the second part whereby I'll talk about Bitcoin adoption and technical basics. But before that, if you have any question, like you can feel free and ask your questions about what I've talked about. Anyone with a question about what I've spoken about? You can just raise your hand or go ahead and unmute and ask your question. So I'll take the silence for everyone is okay with what I've said, and I'll just proceed with the next part. So for the second part, like, oh no. So for the second part, like these are some of the Bitcoin misconception. And the first one is that people say it's not a viable currency, which is wrong. I think Bitcoin is the most reliable currency because every participant in the Bitcoin industry or using Bitcoin can see what's happening uh, in the Bitcoin industry, rather than the currency whereby like you just deposit your money and like it's a bank which controls uh like how we will deposit the money, how we will withdraw the money, and also like they can even limit you on how you'll use your money. The other thing is that people claim that Bitcoin is slow, of which yes, at first, like I think if you want to do something nice, like yeah, you must do it slowly. But Bitcoin also has other mechanisms like the Lightning network, which like enables faster transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. The third one is that Bitcoin is volatile. Uh, and the I can't. Yes, Bitcoin is volatile, but like it all depends with people are using it, because it's people like in the market to determine the price. The other thing is that Bitcoin is a bubble, and this is not true because Bitcoin is not a bubble and it won't pass. Bitcoin is here to stay. Because of its features have proven that it's here to stay, and uh, with in the coming years, like I think everyone or almost everyone like would have realized Bitcoin's potential to become like a world currency or a global currency. Also, the other thing that is that Bitcoin is easy to hack, which is not true. It's those other altcoins which are easy to hack, but Bitcoin, like no one can hack it because of the 51% mechanism, and also the energy needed like to break the Bitcoin blockchain like is too much and expensive. And I don't think someone can risk all those resources to hack Bitcoin. And also the other thing is that Bitcoin is bad for the environment, which is not true because Bitcoin requires a high electricity consumption. These forces people like to break out of their comfort zone and like look for other sources which can help them like produce electricity. So people start harnessing like other means to produce electricity, which is good for the environment. And also that Bitcoin is not backed by anything. This is not wrong because before you produce any Bitcoin, like you must use energy, and that's what like most like before you gain anything, like you must do work to gain it. Of which like Bitcoin, you must use energy to produce Bitcoin, and those like who the people like the Bitcoin miners who verify the transaction actually like get compensated for that. So Bitcoin is not back. Bitcoin is backed by something. The other thing is that Bitcoin is mostly used by criminals, and this is not true because if you use Bitcoin, like everyone will know that yeah you transacted in Bitcoins because everyone has the ledger of the transaction, and like if you are using an exchange, like people can track your information and you'll be tracked and arrested. So if it's there is a currency which criminals should avoid, it should be Bitcoin. And also the other thing is that the government will shut Bitcoin, and this is not true. Uh, as long as there's a particular government here on earth which supports Bitcoin, like no one can shut Bitcoin, or there's someone who is able to like use Bitcoin. There's no way a government can shut Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not controlled by anyone, but by every participant involved. So no one can shut it down. So like those are some of the Bitcoin misconceptions. I'll talk about the regulatory environment whereby the SEC is like the central bank of the US. So for them, they've both ruled that Bitcoin is not a security, and this means that Bitcoin will remain largely unregulated as a digital currency. So this is the like mainly problem because most people get scammed because Bitcoin is not yet regulated. But I think with time, like the US will just like break the insecurity and like regulate Bitcoin because Bitcoin is here to stay. So like here like is an example of the impact of the regulatory institute like situation, and like states and countries are going to have to compete for Bitcoin and crypto businesses. Like you see here, the governor of Texas has announced his intention for the state to become the home of Bitcoin. The city of Miami has previously announced their intention to make their city the capital of Bitcoin. Also, like here, it is like it's beautiful to watch cities and states compete for Bitcoiners and their assets. And truly, for Bitcoin, the early adopters or the first people to adopt Bitcoin are the ones who are going to benefit. Because, like for me, I believe that everyone, like depending with the time you join Bitcoin, like that's and the price you get in the market, like that's the word, like that's what you deserve. Because I started long time ago, and like people are just either ignorant or didn't want to learn about it. So like this is a technology whereby and the technology is coming to stay. So like we should all embrace it first, like so to enjoy the benefits at the early stages. So like before like we go to the next session, I would like anyone who has any question about the two things, the Bitcoin adoption part and the misconception and the regulatory environment. If you have any question, like just feel free and mute and ask. So like if there's no any other question, like I will end at this point for today, and like uh we'll continue next week or the other time, like we'll have the other session. So thanks for joining the meeting, and you're welcome for the next session. Like we'll share details on time so that everyone can get a chance, and also we will share the recordings and like the resources I've used like to teach today. So thank you guys for joining the session, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.